What do CEOs need to know about sales these days? A lot. Outdated sales strategies and tactics plague most companies today. Listen to what innovative CEOs and experts have to say about how to change all that with Sales Talk for CEOs. Why not do sales the easy way? Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. I want to dive into a way to make selling easier and help sellers hit their goals. This is something that we all want, right? What's strange to me is that most companies don't take advantage of this simple method of getting new sales. What is it? Referral selling. Yeah, we've all heard of it, right? Nothing new. And in a complex business to business sale, it's getting harder and harder to get the attention of the key decision makers. Cold outreach isn't working as well. It is still working, but it's not working as well. And it definitely works in some industries better than others. But what does work is getting an introduction. So why wouldn't we do it? My question for you is, as a CEO, do you know if your company has a formal referral selling process? You should, but I'm guessing that either you don't know or they don't have a formal process at your company. And even if cold outreach is working great for your team, why not add another avenue that really works and it's easier? So, a formal referral selling process is what I'm selling you on buying today to get your sales leaders to do this. When I ask, most leaders will tell me that they get referrals, right? Oh, yeah, we get referrals. Yeah, every once in a while we get a referral, but it's not consistent, right? They're few and far between, and there's no way to consistently bring them in. They just kind of hope that the people who love them will make introductions for them. Well, hope is not a good strategy, right? Some of my friends have taken to calling it a hopeagy. And we don't want to have a hopeagy. We want a real strategy. And so we want to set up a formal referral selling process so that there is a consistent flow of leads coming in from referrals. Because when someone at your company does a great job for the customer and they're super happy, and then they introduce that salesperson with enthusiasm to someone who could use your solution, you'll get an appointment 9 times out of 10 versus 2 out of 100, which is the result of cold outreach. So why wouldn't you use a referral selling process and get these introductions? It's so much easier. But a lot of companies just don't do it. So let me see if I can compel you a little further. Here are some statistics. 92% of consumers trust recommendations from friends and family over other forms of advertising. And what are the key decision makers doing? They're asking people they know, hey, what software do you use? Where do you buy this kind of equipment? How do you solve this problem? They're asking people that they know and trust to tell them. So we know that if somebody refers them to someone that has done a great job for them, the sale is likely to happen. Referred customers have a 37% higher retention rate than those acquired through other methods. Don't we all want to retain more customers? It definitely helps if they've been referred. They'll have that 37% higher retention rate. 83% of satisfied customers are willing to refer products and services, but only about 29% actually do. Now, why is that? Do you suppose it's because nobody's asking them? I mean, not everyone is just sitting around all day thinking about how they can bring you more business. But when asked, they're usually happy to do it. 86% of B2B purchases are influenced by word of mouth. So we know that when people tell other people, they're more likely to buy from you. And customers referred by other customers are 18% more loyal than those acquired through traditional methods. So these numbers clearly show the power of referrals in business to business selling. How do you harness this power? The key is to build a formal referral selling process. Now, as CEO, if you're leading sales, it's your job to do this. If you have a sales leader, it's your job to ensure that they do it and then ask for the results, right? Because a lot of times, oh, yeah, we'll do it. We'll ask for more referrals. And then when you ask, well, did you get more referrals this week? Well, we've been busy. We haven't really done it. Oh, it's easier. So why wouldn't you have done it? So it's your job to insist that they do. And here's an example of what your leader should do. One, they should build the referral process, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how to do that in a minute. And two, they should set the expectation that sellers will ask for referrals and measure it. So it's not enough to just say, I expect you to do this. I'm measuring it, and we're going to report out on it monthly. Right? And at the beginning, they can run a contest or something to make it more fun. But it's like every month we got 29 referrals, and here are the sellers that got those referrals. Right? So we know who's doing it and who's not. And we know whether they're doing it or not. And then we can track those referrals by lead source to see if a higher percent of them close. I happen to know that a higher percent of them will close. So why not do it, right? So what does a formal referral process look like? Here's what it includes. It includes having all of the salespeople make a list of people at their accounts that they have great relationships with and who would bend over backwards to do them a favor. People who love them, who would introduce them if asked, no problem, right? And all salespeople have these kinds of people. When you're dealing with a complex sale and you've been working with these buyers over months and months, you're developing really deep relationships with them, and you get to know them well enough to know whether they would make an introduction for you or not. So the sellers need to make these lists. They make a list of companies, then they make a list of the people at those companies that they would feel comfortable asking for them to make an introduction, and really asking them to brag about them and talk about them enthusiastically and what the solution has done for them and how it helped them reach their goals and all those good things, right? And then make that introduction. Because 9 times out of 10, right, that person will take the appointment with the seller if that type of introduction is made. So you've got to get these lists first off, right, so that you have that. And then you have to train the salespeople on the proper way to ask. Now, this is an interesting thing because a lot of sellers will tell you, oh, yeah, as soon as you close the deal, you're supposed to ask for a referral. Well, they don't do that, and they shouldn't, but that's some training from the old days, right? And it's sort of like from the mortgage lending days, or, oh, I got you a great mortgage, or I sold you this insurance. Can you tell your friends? Who can I call? Who of your friends or family can I call? Don't do that. What we want them to do is make sure that the customer is satisfied before they ask for a referral, right? So it's the training is, close the deal, make sure the onboarding goes really well, make sure there's some user adoption if you're, selling some kind of software, expand even further with the relationships. And then when you feel it's appropriate, the customer's satisfied, they've said good things about you, go back in and ask them to make an introduction. Now, a lot of people do that and they say, hey, thanks so much for your business. We're growing and we'd love to get more customers just like you. Who do you know that I could do business with? Don't do that either. Why? When you ask me, who do I know? I'm like, I can't think of anyone. right? And it's not my job to think of people to introduce you to. I need some prompting. So sellers have to be ready. They have to do their homework. They have to look and see who might be doing business with this person as a vendor or a customer that might be a good fit, and say, well, do you know anyone at this company? Or do you know this person at this company? Could you make an introduction? So you want to make that ask very, very specific. And then that person can say, oh gosh, yes, I do know them. I'd be happy to make an introduction. Or I don't really know that person, but I know this other person who works there, and I'll be happy to connect you so that you can get to the right person. So we're wanting to make sure that the training shows the salespeople when is the appropriate time, what things have happened, and how do we know the customer satisfied so that we can approach them to make these referrals for us. And then we want them to be ready to be very specific. And as that relationship goes on over the years, when they see that their contact may know someone that they need to know, they feel comfortable reaching out and saying, hey, I noticed that you know Ben Smith. Would you feel comfortable making an introduction? And then, of course, you tell them what you want them to say. Tell them about how we helped you with this, this, and this, and ask him if he would take an appointment with me, right? So be as specific as possible. That's how these referral programs have to be set up, and they have to be trained, right? So you can't just tell them what to do. You have to train them on what to do, practice it, and then expect them to do it, and then measure it. Now, that's not the end of the process, right? Because once we ask somebody for something, what should we do? Of course, we need to thank them and we need to follow up. And there's nothing worse, and I hate it so much when people ask me to make an introduction for them and I do it, and then I never hear what happened. Like, did you ever get a hold of them? Did you do business with them? What happened? And if you do that to me, I'll never give you another introduction. So don't do that to the people that you're asking, right? Have your team always thank them, follow up and say, hey, I did get a hold of Ben. We had a great conversation. Looks like we're going to be moving forward, or looks like it's not a good fit, but I thank you anyway. And make sure they close that loop. Now, in some cases, people like to do a handwritten thank you note or send out a bottle of wine or some cookies or something like that, but it's not really necessary. And some people do have in their formal referral process some sort of a gift or something, but again, it's not necessary. People just want to know what happened, and a handwritten thank you note is really fantastic also. But if they give you an introduction to someone who ends up being a great lead and you close the business and it's a lot of money, you can always take them out to dinner next time you're in the same town that they're in, or you can figure out something else nice to do for them. So be careful though, because some companies are not allowed to take any gifts. So a thank you note might be just perfect. All right. So now you know what a formal referral selling process looks like. You know why you need one. It's time to get started. Get out there and ask your sales team, do they have a formal referral selling process? If they don't, make sure they institute one. And of course, if they need help, give me a call or send me an email or reach me on LinkedIn, and all of that information will be in the show notes. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.